Good morning. It's January the 30th, 2018. Almost at the end of the month. First month of the year. Time flies. Hypothetical or simulated performance results have certain limitations, unlike an actual performance record. Simulated results do not represent actual trading. Also, since the trades have not been executed, the results may have under or overcompensated for the impact of certain market factors, such as lack of liquidity. Simulated trading programs in general are also subject to the fact that they're designed with the benefit of hindsight. No representation is being made that any account will or is likely to achieve profit or losses similar to those shown. So here we find ourselves trading in front of tonight's State of the Union speech and tomorrow's FOMC announcement. The financial press is saying that this is Yellen's last FOMC official duty, and that her statement will be much more hawkish than the previous ones have been because of the strength of the economy. So the market is playing for higher interest rates sooner rather than later. Also, it's interestingly so, the selling in treasuries is blamed for the selling in equities yesterday. And we'll see if that lasts more than a day or two. Gets us through tomorrow. So when we have major news about to hit the tape and the FOMC is enough, that doesn't come until tomorrow, markets usually move sideways. Large institutions who are already long for the most part are waiting to see what the announcement is, and then they'll adjust their investment strategies accordingly. The Soto speech tonight, I'm sure, will get a a recounting of the pluses so far for the year, how the United States economy has grown, etc. And I'm sure we'll be hearing announcements of new programs to come in 2018 that will further support economic growth and looks to make America great again. So the Soto speech should be somewhat supportive for equity prices. We'll see if that happens. Today's news, Case-Shiller plus 0.6 might come in a little lower, maybe a tenth or so. And then consumer confidence at 123.4. That one might come in lower also. Some of the sentiment numbers have been lower than forecast. So I see a trading range. And we've got a seller into the buck, so 27.31 sell 1, 3 to 7 sell 2. On the buy side, 17 to 21 buy 1. 9 to 13 by 2. And the trading range call is the magnitude or potential magnitude of tonight's Soto speech and tomorrow's FOMC announcement. We've got 2 days of 60-degree weather coming, and then it's supposed to get cold for the next couple of 3 weeks. Take us back to our norms, which would be in the low 40s. We'll see if that actually happens. Our weather forecasts are probably like yours. They usually miss both ways. Okay, looking at the... Well, this one's tough. We either have... I'm guessing resistance is probably at 4 to 8. So we'll make... the first area that we might not get through is the 4 levels. So we'll make 7 to 11 sell 1. 15 to 19 sell 2. I'm just looking for a trading range. Markets held in check by tonight's speech and tomorrow's FOMC announcement. First support's 20 to 24. First buy is 13 to 17. And 1 to 5 for our second buy. Maybe we have a 20 minus market and a 48.04 plus market as it looks right now. Yeah, I don't believe Congress's approval numbers are much above. Well, they just can't be very high, Charles. So, good point. Gold is higher last night. Dollar is lower. Equities are lower. Treasuries managed a rally starting in London, but they haven't held it. So, again, maybe a trading range. So, structurally right here, a limit sell at 1350, 60, or 70 against that high volume number. Obviously, we've got to get through 50 to get to that. So, 49 to 51, sell 1. 53, 55, sell 2. On the buy side, 40, 42, buy 1. And our 35, 37, which has served us well for buy 2. Well, the girls decided to stay in Santa Fe for another day, so me and the dog are on our own until probably Thursday. I think they're planning on getting in late tomorrow night. And both the dog and myself are well trained, so my wife does not have to worry. Nancy, you probably have somebody like me too on a fairly short leash. The leash gets shorter as time passes. And the resistance gets less. Okay, looking at the euro. Just learned that certain battles aren't worth fighting. Took me a long time though. 24.75, sell 1. 125 even, sell 2. Buy 1, 24.25. Buy 2. And we'll just make it the buck. Tomorrow's FOMC announcement usually freezes. Oh, definitely broken in. I still squawk, but not as loudly as before. Okay, crude is selling. Probably the biggest article out overnight. The U.S. troops aren't leaving a certain city in Syria. There will be a confrontation between Turkey and the United States. I doubt it. I don't think Turkey will directly confront us, but you never know. It's a possibility. So the Middle East looks contained and things fairly quiet. One of the biggest things that's happened since Trump took over in the Gulf of Hormuz, in the Persian Gulf, the Hormuz Straits, is that the U.S. is no longer being harassed by Iranian patrol boats. So, it's kind of like Bush when he first took over. All the attacks and stuff kind of backed off for a while. They figured they might get hit back. Okay, crude oil, right now we're at 92. We've got this very clean break in the market at 20, so 65, 65.25, sell 1. 50 to 75, sell 2. 64.50. We haven't had a lot of follow through. 75, buy 1. We'll just pick up where support is, and then 64 even, 64.25, buy 2. So our Exxon, because of the change in the tax law, will be investing 50 billion in the U.S. Over the next 5 years. I listened to Charles Ortel. If you've never listened to his economic analysis, and his claim to fame is the corruption of the Clinton Foundation, but he several back before the last financial crisis that General Electric was going bankrupt, and he still thinks GE is going bankrupt, but on a much larger scale now with the jump in interest rates. But he said you can't believe the impact of the Trump tax bill for multinational companies headquartered in Europe and some other places of the world. One change in the tax law that hasn't been talked about is that you're only taxed now in the United States if there's revenue generated in the United States, as opposed to anywhere you make it in the United States, you're taxed for anywhere you sell it in the world. And he was just talking about what was going on in Europe with Siemens was a name that was mentioned, and some of the others, that they don't know that Europe's going to be around that much longer with the immigration of Muslims, and that there's real incentive with these tax laws. They're leaving a much higher tax environment where you tax on everything in Europe, coming to the United States and building manufacturing facilities, etc. in the United States now to manufacture goods and sell them to your markets around the globe. And it was an aspect in the change in the tax law that I had not seen picked up on anywhere before in the financial press. And that the world's largest market, the world's cheapest energy costs, a long history of law where it's tougher to expropriate or steal your assets if you come here and build them, and rules and regulations, etc., all business friendly right now. And so it was an interesting take. That my feeling is that this tax law change on corporations and business and the change in rules and regulations will be bigger than Reagan's tax cuts for personal income. We'll have to see if that happens, but I think over 25 years it could be a lot bigger. Okay, I had this 35 area down here as potential support, and we have a speech tonight that it's going to be supportive. I mean, Trump's not going to get up there and say we're increasing rules and regulations, we're going to raise taxes, and we're not going to do anything on the infrastructure to make transportation grid and the power grid to make your manufacturing base more stable and more profitable. So my guess is that we'll be in a trading range today, but if you're a fundamental player betting on the SO2 speech, you'd bet the long side. Tomorrow's FOMC meeting, if they become more hawkish on raising interest rates sooner rather than later, that could impact stock prices. But that's tomorrow, not today. So I see as a trading range, and as long as we can't break this 30-35 area, this market can trade back up, maybe perhaps as high as 50 to 55. So I put the seller at 50 plus and a buyer at 35 minus right now. First sell will be 44.46, sell 1. Second sell will be 49.51. First buy is 35.37. Second buy is 30 to 32. So I basically see a trading range. And you can just see all the volume that we've built in here. This 40 area plus or minus is where value is right now. So if you can buy it below 28.40 if you're a value buyer, believe in the profile, that's where you'd be doing it. We do live in interesting times, don't we? Okay, it's going to take a bit to get everything up and posted. I'm going to get busy on that. Back with you as soon as possible.